Hey, Jamie Maloney here on day 8 of my 28-day water fast. Again, thank you so much for following the progress. Currently February 8th, 2018. And on today's video, I'm going to do a body reveal so you can see how I look versus day 1 of the fast. But before I get to that, I want to talk briefly about a great documentary that I watched last night on Amazon Prime called The Science of Fasting. It's about a 56-minute documentary. And in it, it talks about how in the old Soviet Union, the healthcare system paid for and encouraged their residents to fast. There were fasting centers that were set up to treat people for a variety of different ailments. Again, fasting has shown great results on diabetes, eczema, even cancer, and a variety of other things, including hypertension and, of course, weight loss. And so in this documentary, it talked about how, people were being cured through fasting, and 2/3 of the patients that went through fasts were coming out with greatly improved symptoms to no symptoms at all for whatever condition that they went in for. And they were fasted anywhere between 7 and 21 days on an annual basis. And it was paid for, again, by the healthcare system. And so highly recommend that you watch that. There was an excellent study that they talked about in there about cancer and chemotherapy. And in this, they did a study on mice, and they found that when mice were treated with chemotherapy, they had 2 sets of mice. One mice set was in a fasted state, and the other set had eaten normally. They injected the mice with higher than normal levels of chemotherapy, and then after a couple of days, the mice that were in a normally fed state had died, whereas the mice that were fasted before they went into the chemotherapy were alive and functioningly normal. And what they found was that when the body is in a fasted state, that the cells go into a protective state that was protecting them from the effects of the chemotherapy. And they decided, to publish the results, which received rave reviews within the oncology community. And a number of doctors, are beginning to study this more and more. But a few patients, or not a few, but a lot of patients picked up on this study and conducted their own, attempt at this. And there's a woman in the video who talks about how she went into the doctor. She wanted to do the fasting prior to the chemotherapy against the advice of the doctor, because the advice is to eat, well before each chemotherapy session. And she had to go through, I think, 5 different chemotherapy treatments. In her first chemotherapy treatment, she was fasted for 5 days, and she received chemotherapy. And I wouldn't say she felt normal, but she took the treatment very well and was able to work and live and function normally. The next 2 treatments, the doctor convinced her to eat normally, and so she did, and she had very bad reaction to the chemotherapy. So she decided to fast for the last 2 and felt great. And again, this comes back to the protective state that the cell has put them in, and so the healthy cells are not going to be as impacted by the chemotherapy, because they basically have put up a defense system and they're able to reject that. Now you're asking, do cancer cells do the same thing? And because of the mutations that have occurred within the cancer cells, they do not seem to have the same ability to mutate or to protect themselves from the chemotherapy. And so fasting is going to be, hopefully, in the future, used in the treatment of cancer. And I've watched a number of different videos and testimonials of people who have just fasted, period, with no chemotherapy after being diagnosed with tumors inside of their body, and have seen the tumors shrink or be even eliminated over time through fasting. Again, this comes down to essentially starving the cells. All the cells have to eat to survive, and if you don't give them glucose, eventually they're going to die. And the cancer cells obviously are nowhere near in number to the normal cells inside of the body, and so if you fast long enough, it makes sense that the cancer cells are going to die off, especially because of autophagy, whereby the body attacks the defective and diseased and aged cells first. So again, Science of Fasting, great documentary available on Amazon Prime. Before I get to the body reveal, I'll go through my stats here in just a second. You may ask me about my tattoo. You might have noticed that in the first video. I'm 40 years old today, and I got my first tattoo as of about a couple of months ago. And as you can see, it's a complete chest and shoulder piece, and it actually has meaning that I kind of designed. And it's a symbol of transformation that was inspired actually by the movie The Crow, of all things. And it started off that I was going to get a tattoo of just the crow symbol on my back or something. And then I just started doing more research into the meaning of crows, and decided to get, a shoulder piece. And then I learned that, you know, 1 crow is bad luck, so I gotta get 2. So I was like, okay, well, I gotta get 2 crows. So I put 1 on each shoulder, and then I just kind of added to that. So from just watching a movie, I became, out of nowhere, inspired to design this centerpiece. So on each shoulder I have a crow, and what it is it's a symbol of transformation. So the crow on my right side is kind of a dark themed bird, and it moves through the night, and this side over here. And then over on this side here is the light theme, or the day theme, the bird. And in the center of the chest is the yin yang symbol with the, I think it was the yang, it's the dark side of the yin. If I might have that backwards. But anyways, the yin and the yang, which is a symbol of, you know, duality, good and evil, and, you know, light and day, in the center of my chest, along with the tree of life, which then, you know, extends up to the crows, and then there's a branch along which they sit on right there. So again, dark themed bird over here, light themed bird over there, symbol of transformation, moving from, you know, day to night, good to evil, all that stuff. You know, it's just a symbol that I came up together with my tattoo artist and put together, and now is on my body. So I'll go through the stats really quick, and then I will go ahead and do the body reveal. So also yesterday I forgot to give the stats. So yesterday I was 222.2 pounds. Today I'm 220.4 pounds. So I'm down roughly 16 pounds since the start of my fast. Body fat yesterday was 29.4%, 29.6% today. Yesterday my glucose was 73. Today my glucose is 84. Waist yesterday 44.5 inches. Today 44.25 inches. Blood pressure yesterday 137/92. Today it's 125/94. Pulse rate yesterday at rest 98. Today at 96. So I will go ahead and do the body reveal, and that'll end the first full week of fasting with 3 more to go. Thank you so much for watching the video.